November 24, 1971. A man using the name Don Cooper boards Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305 in Portland, Oregon. Dressed in a suit and tie, he appears calm, carrying only a briefcase. Shortly after takeoff, he hands a note to a flight attendant. Inside the note is a chilling message. He has a bomb and demands $200,000 in cash, along with 4 parachutes. The airline complies. At Seattle-Tacoma Airport, the passengers are released in exchange for the ransom money and parachutes. The crew remains on board. After refueling, the plane takes off again. Somewhere over the dense forests of Washington state, Cooper makes his daring move. He opens the rear stairs and jumps into the night. Despite an extensive search by the FBI, no trace of Cooper or most of the money was ever found. The case became one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in U.S. history. November 24, 1971. It was the day before Thanksgiving. A man carrying a briefcase bought a one-way ticket for just $20. The flight was Northwest Orient Airlines, Flight 305, heading from Portland to Seattle. He called himself Don Cooper, but due to a media mistake, the world would remember him as D.B. Cooper. The flight had 36 passengers and 6 crew members. Nothing seemed unusual as the Boeing 727 prepared for takeoff. Soon after takeoff, Cooper quietly handed a note to a flight attendant. She assumed it was his phone number, but Cooper leaned in and whispered, "Miss, you'd better read it. I have a bomb?" To prove he wasn't bluffing, Cooper opened his briefcase. Inside were red sticks of dynamite, wires, and a large battery. The captain discreetly informed air traffic control. Authorities and the FBI were immediately alerted, but Cooper remained calm, sipping bourbon and smoking cigarettes. As Flight 305 approached Seattle, Cooper remained strangely polite and calm. He allowed passengers to be kept unaware, telling the crew, "Everything will be fine as long as you follow instructions." After a tense 2-hour delay, the plane finally touched down in Seattle. The passengers, still unaware of the hijack, believed it was just a routine refueling stop. Cooper allowed them to remain calm in their seats. Once the money and parachutes were delivered, Cooper kept his word. He released all 35 passengers unharmed, keeping only the crew on board. His composure shocked investigators. He was no ordinary criminal. With the ransom secured, Cooper gave new instructions. The plane would fly toward Mexico City at a low altitude, landing gear down and speed no more than 200 knots. He even specified the exact flight path, an unusual request for any hijacker. The crew argued these conditions were nearly impossible, but Cooper remained firm. Finally, they agreed to fly south, stopping first in Reno, Nevada, for refueling. At 7:40 p.m., Flight 305 lifted off once again into the stormy northwest skies. Somewhere over the forests of Washington, Cooper prepared his escape. He lowered the rear stairway of the 727, a rare feature at the time, the cabin depressurized. Wind roared through the plane as the crew sat helpless in the cockpit. At 8:13 p.m., the cockpit felt a sudden jolt. The tail of the plane shifted. Cooper was gone, leaping into the freezing night, parachute strapped to his back and $200,000 in cash tied to his body. As D.B. Cooper vanished into the stormy night, the crew of Flight 305 were left in stunned silence. When the plane landed in Reno, law enforcement swarmed aboard only to find an empty rear stairway and no sign of the hijacker. The FBI launched one of the largest manhunts in U.S. history, hundreds of agents. Troopers and soldiers searched the forests of Washington and Oregon. Helicopters swept the Cascade Mountains, but no parachute, no body, no trace of Cooper was found. What baffled investigators was Cooper's knowledge. He understood the Boeing 727's rear stairway and gave detailed flight demands. Some thought he had military training, but experts argued the jump was suicidal: freezing rain, fierce winds, and total darkness. Despite this, the FBI kept searching. They tracked the ransom money, each bill carefully recorded. Banks and businesses were alerted nationwide. But years passed and not a single bill appeared. It seemed Cooper had vanished without a trace. In 1980, a breakthrough came. A young boy camping near the Columbia River found 3 bundles of decaying $20 bills. The serial numbers matched Cooper's ransom. It was the only piece of physical evidence ever recovered from the case. But the discovery raised more questions. The money was far from the suspected jump zone, buried in sand. No body, no parachute, nothing else was found. Did Cooper die in the wilderness? Or did he somehow escape and disappear forever? Over the decades, suspects emerged from ex-military men to petty criminals. None were ever proven to be Cooper. Slowly, the case grew colder, and Cooper transformed into a folk legend admired for pulling off the impossible. In 2016, the FBI officially closed the case, but the mystery endures. Did Cooper survive the jump, or did his daring plan end in the forests below? The truth remains one of America's greatest unsolved mysteries. Over the years, countless theories have tried to solve the mystery of D.B. Cooper. Some experts insist he didn't survive the jump. The weather, the darkness, and the wilderness below made survival nearly impossible. If true, Cooper's body still lies hidden in the forests. Others argue Cooper survived. They point to the fact that no parachute or body was ever found. Supporters believe he landed safely, hid the money, and started a new life under a new identity, forever escaping justice. The FBI investigated dozens of suspects. One of the most famous was Richard Floyd McCoy, a former Army veteran who staged a copycat hijacking in 1972. He used a parachute, demanded ransom, and even escaped briefly before being caught. But investigators eventually ruled McCoy out, citing key differences in appearance and behavior. Still, many amateur sleuths believe McCoy may have been Cooper, or at least inspired by him. Another strong suspect was Dwayne Weber, who allegedly confessed on his deathbed that he was D.B. Cooper. His widow claimed he had nightmares about jumping from planes and even mentioned the ransom money. Yet evidence against Weber was weak. DNA from Cooper's tie did not match, and the FBI dismissed him as the hijacker. Similar stories followed with other suspects promising leads that always collapsed under scrutiny. Over time, D.B. Cooper became less of a criminal and more of a legend. He inspired books, documentaries, and even movies. To many, he symbolized a mysterious outlaw who challenged the system and vanished into thin air. In 2016, the FBI officially closed the case. Still, the mystery of D.B. Cooper continues to fascinate. Was he a desperate man who didn't survive, or a brilliant mastermind who got away? The truth remains unsolved.
Thanks for watching this deep dive into one of history's greatest mysteries. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true crime, haunting stories, and untold history.